Yeah, she was complaining about her headache. She was having a headache, but I don't know whether the nurse said she thought she may have had a stroke, and she said no. They think it might because she was all of a sudden having a hard time breathing. But she was diagnosed with COVID, so they did list official cause of death as COVID, and she just want to reimburse us with which is what they're doing, I think, for the patients.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it was not sudden, but it's still, you know, sad. Planning the funeral and, you know.
Hi, how are you? Good. Yeah, awesome. I think he's good, right?
We can start. Worst comes to worst.
140 now.
Check, 1, 2, check, 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 test, 1, 2, 3, check, 1, 2, 3, check, 1, 2, 3, check, testing, 1, 2, 3, check, 1, 2, 3, check, test, 1, 2, 3, check, 1, 2, 3.
Could be. Yes, it's going right here, right here.
Fun exchange with the meter maid that was walking down the street as I was pulling my teller and everything, and I said, I've got the app up right here. She said, let me see you push the button.
Oh, that's funny. Did you do the kiosk? Yeah, I got a sweet spot as well.
Yeah.
I like to go a little higher.
Welcome. Please be seated. We ask for blessings on us as we gather here to celebrate lives, work, and futures of these graduates. We give thanks for the abilities they have been given, for the love of their family and friends have shown them. We give thanks to the dedication of the many teachers, both inside and outside the law school, who have helped them grow. We ask for guidance in their lives so that their work serves the highest ideals of justice. In the city that was the birthplace of the United States of America, we ask that these graduates and all of us gathered here, both in person and remotely, be inspired to work for truth, justice, and the betterment of all nations around the world. Dean Ruger.
Thank you, Elise, and thank you for your leadership of this program over these many years, including these difficult last few years. To all of you here, our December 2021 graduates, your families, loved ones, teachers, colleagues, alumni, staff, our distinguished speaker, Judge Wendy Beetlestone, and many others watching either remotely or in person. It is such a pleasure and a joy, really, to be here today for this ceremony. As I've expressed to colleagues, this has been a difficult 2 years for our entire world, for all of the countries from which you come to seek this education, for us here in this country and in Philadelphia. But this ceremony today kind of reflects and exemplifies the innovation, the resiliency, the desire that we've all worked together to show and to put into practice to continue what has happened here for centuries, namely the delivery of a top-flight legal education to people from around the world in ways that we have had to adapt and do differently, even this ceremony today, but in ways that kind of honor and celebrate all the values that we cherish of legal knowledge that transcends borders, that bringing you together. And we've benefited from you during this past year and been inspired by your wisdom and talents that you bring to us, even as we have imparted some of our lessons to you. You've learned from each other, you've learned from our faculty, you've taught us much, and now you'll go forth into your careers in a world that needs legal talent and lawyers and leaders with values and ethics more than ever. I'm grateful that this ceremony today, constrained as we are with masks and with less than full attendance, yet still has so much joy and hope about our emergence as an institution and as a world from this pandemic. This is the first time we've gathered for something like this, a graduation where we have the university mace and kind of an official type graduation for really 2.5 years at this institution, since May 2019. It also reflects, and your path through this institution during the calendar year 2021 reflects, like so many things, a new idea that builds on a much older idea. This is the first time we've had a sizable in-person graduation ceremony in December after the fall semester. Not the first in our history, the first in over 70 years. The last one we think was 1949, another decade when the world was in turmoil for different reasons relating to the World War and its aftermath, where we realized that education, we might have to adapt our normal academic year, and that some of the best and the brightest minds would come on a slightly different schedule. And you are some of the best and the brightest minds in this generation, and we're so glad that you chose to join us and be educated here under this unusual schedule, and you're both tremendous sort of innovators and in doing this new thing, which reflects something we had done in the past but haven't done for many, many decades. And I really admire your resiliency in coming here during really the height of the worldwide pandemic, learning so well, interacting so well, and it will stand you in good stead, because one thing we can predict with assurance as the world you head out into is unpredictable. It will change. The certainties you think we think we all have about even something as basic as our schedule for the upcoming year and our career plans, our educational plans will shift due to geopolitical events, due to personal events and issues. I think this pandemic has taught us all about a healthy measure of humility about planning too far in the future, and certainly one of my lessons to you, and you're brilliant, you have tremendous values, tremendous capacity for learning. I hope you do have a plan for your career, but I hope you're willing to revise it monthly and yearly and as you take stock, because your lives will change, the world will change, you will do tremendously impactful things. Some of you may do almost exactly what you intend and hope to do as you sit here today. Many of you will change the world and change your nations and this country for the better in ways you couldn't even imagine as you're sitting here today. And I encourage you to be open, and I think the past 2 years has taught us to be both as ambitious as ever, but also as flexible and even humble about our plans, and think about how you can develop your career, help others, help the world in ways that might differ from the plan you have as you sit here today, because I know that the pace of change and unpredictability will increase rather than decrease. You represent an amazingly talented class of 39 attorneys from 20 different countries. You started this program with us as kind of a new experiment in October 2020, and we all appreciate and have been in awe of your resilience, your flexibility, your good spirits in coming through this law school at a time when things are not normal, but yet you have helped us realize that what's valuable about an education here and the way we trade ideas and connect with each other is very enduring, even under difficult or different or constrained circumstances, and thank you for that. You also, I think, one of the things, the silver linings, I think, that you've embodied, and I'm somebody who is teaching both a few of you this semester as well as a number of the LLMs who are in their first semester, who started in fall or summer of 2021, is we always appreciate the interaction between, you all didn't know each other in most cases before you set foot here. In just over a year, some of you have developed connections and affinities that will last you a lifetime, and I know that when I travel the world, and I hope to do so again soon, seeing LLM alums from different decades, how close the bonds are, and I encourage you to hold those. You have, in a sense, by being a bridge class, you've interacted with 2 different other LLM classes, and I know from the class that is following you and has 1 semester left to go after this one, how important your mentorship and leadership has been. You've kind of been slightly ahead of them in the curve, and that's a nice silver lining from this new schedule, that you've been able to learn from an LLM class that was half a year ahead of you and then impart that wisdom to the next group. And you will continue to serve as mentors and leaders to those who come after you. You are part of our Penn Law community for your entire lives, and I look forward to seeing how your careers develop. Special thanks for the support of your family, your friends, others, some here in this room, some viewing from around the world. It always requires support and encouragement when a student is undergoing a rigorous course of legal education, and I think particularly so in these unusual circumstances. I would also note my gratitude, and I'm sure yours, toward our staff and our faculty. We had to revise and intensify some of our teaching and student support. Even the very fact of this ceremony today required a number of staff colleagues working overtime, and it's brought home to me, those of us who wear the robes and have the get to sit up front here. We're also supported by dozens of staff members who help us put on our legal education, who provide the IT infrastructure for our courses to be put all over the world and to support events like this. So I thank them as well. This is a day where others will help me celebrate you. So I give you my best wishes as you head off into your careers. I will turn it over to a few other speakers who will help reflect on the year, and some distinguished guests who will help also to frame this important event. And so I appreciate distinguished guests like Judge Wendy Beadlestone and Professor Herb Hovenkamp. I also appreciate the student leadership in this group, and it's my pleasure to turn it over to a student speaker, Jean-Luc Lacaille, who will give a student address. So thank you, congratulations, and Jean-Luc. Yeah.
Dear fellow classmates, we meet today to celebrate the end of an incredible experience. And I am truly honored to represent Penn Law's LLM Spring Starter Class of 2021. Each year and each LLM is, of course, very special. But this LLM, which started for us in January and now ends in December, is certainly unlike any other. We owe this particularity to a world event that each of us would have preferred never to have happened. And speaking, of course, of the pandemic of COVID-19. Thank God at least I don't have to speak to you with the mask on my face and fog on my glasses. As each of us can recall, when we started this adventure, it was not easy. Cases of COVID were rising everywhere, and it made everything more complicated. From obtaining our visas in the embassies when services were either closed or at limited capacity, to planning our trip to Philadelphia when there were numerous travel restrictions and constantly changing. We did not choose this ordeal. It was imposed upon us. We cannot claim to choose when or even how this pandemic will end. But what we can choose, however, is how we face these kind of challenges. And here, with my Spring Starter classmates, Penn Law's administration and our professors, we faced the crisis. We faced it together. During this year, I met extraordinary people from all around the world and representing so many different cultures. Our batch was smaller than usual, it's true, but it was certainly not less rich. And the social life that we managed to have during the spring semester created powerful bonds. We had strong solidarity throughout the whole experience, and I do believe it has brought us even closer. When some of us had COVID, for example, and unfortunately had to self-isolate, we were all here to support them, and this was important. Together, we learned. We learned to be more resilient. We learned to be more confident in our future. We've all learned to adapt, and I think that the fact that we started with a spring semester and with a hybrid model is proof of this ability of adaptation. And for that, we are truly grateful to the university's administration, and that had to handle numerous health-changing situations throughout the year. In particular, I would like to thank personally, and in the name of the group, Elise, for her involvement and her true dedication to our group. We sincerely appreciate it. When we came back in September, we discovered a whole other world. The university was full of students. It was truly surprising and incredible to see the campus spring back to life. I was shocked for a week, at least. We are indeed the first LLM batch ever to have cohabitated with two other LLM groups. And this is just one of the many reasons why the satisfaction of having started in January is a consensus in our group. It was a difficult choice to make, to start this adventure with so much uncertainty. But now, at the end of this year, it seems as if leaving this place, as if parting from you, is even harder for me. There are routines I developed up here that I will terribly miss. For example, every Thursday, I would meet with two of my dear friends, Jinan and Meisan, and we would meet on the beautiful campus and we would talk about anything. Politics, academia, our home countries that we missed. But now, it's the small moments like that that I will miss. And it's just one example among so many, and I'm sure you all have such memories and examples. Today, unfortunately, the pandemic still threatens us. But there is hope. And it makes me think about something that a French footballer said, Franck Ribéry. Yes, he said something really strong. He said, La roue tourne va tourner, which means nothing. It means nothing. The sentence is completely wrong, but what he meant is la roue tourne. The wheel will turn, time will pass. And in our case, eventually, COVID will fade away. But what is important, my friends, in my opinion, is not when COVID will disappear, but how we continue to live our lives in the meantime and without wasting time. With my fellow classmates, we did not wait for COVID to disappear. We did not waste our time. We discovered new cultures. We enrich our knowledge. And we form friendships that are very dear to us. And now we are graduating, and we can be proud of ourselves and our many accomplishments, both individually and collectively as a group. And yes, it also means that we will be scattered around the world again. But I am convinced that neither time nor distance will be able to weaken the friendship that this year has forged. My friends, I will miss you, but we will meet again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean-Loup, for that incredible speech. I now have the distinct honor of introducing our faculty graduation speaker, chosen by our class to address us this afternoon. A few days ago, I asked my fellow classmates what they had to say about Professor Hovenkamp. Some of them told me that he was the reason why they chose to come to Penn. We have found that he is not only a preeminent scholar, but he is also an outstanding teacher. He is a wonderful, kind, and accessible person. He always goes above and beyond to help his students and the newly founded Penn Law Antitrust Association. Professor Herbert Hovenkamp is generally regarded as the most influential antitrust scholar of our generation. The New York Times reported that many consider him the Dean of American Antitrust Law. His dozen-plus books include the landmark 21-volume treatise, Antitrust Law, which is the single most cited antitrust authority in the country. Authored in 1978, it has been in print for nearly 4 decades. His work has been cited by the federal courts in the determination of more than 1,000 cases, including more than 50 cases by the United States Supreme Court, therefore shaping the course of US legal history. Some have said that to be unaware of what he has to say on an antitrust topic is a form of malpractice. I know I speak on behalf of the entire class when I say we are all grateful for having such a distinguished faculty speaker at our graduation. Please join me in welcoming the remarkable man that we have chosen as our faculty graduation speaker, Professor Herbert Hovenkamp.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. Did not entirely expect to be here, but I'm very glad that I am. And I feel both humbled and enriched because I had the opportunity to teach you and get to know you better over the last year. I've only a minute, and I just want to share one thought. We are living in an age of populism, but also of polarization. Characterizes my own field, competition law, but it's also a microcosm of what's happening in other areas. Populists are not only polarizing, however, they are often disdainful of facts, science, and expertise. Witness the phenomenon of Michael Lindell, the My Pillow guy, making embarrassing statements about stolen elections that he is not able to support. Or attorney Sidney Powell, against whom a judge issued Rule 11 sanctions for, quote, deceiving a federal court and the American people into believing that rights were infringed without regard to whether any laws or rights were in fact violated. For his part, Rudy Giuliani, another attorney, had his law license suspended. This danger is hardly exclusive to the right. It shows up on both sides and among leading politicians. President Biden sounded an alarm earlier this week about the wounded state of global democracy. Its protection, he warned, is a defining challenge of our time. The reason is not all that hard to understand. Periods of rapid technological and political change produce anxiety and uncertainty, and oversimplistic solutions become attractive. Good lawyers can then be our most effective police officers. The first and best way to combat irresponsible populism is to obtain careful, dispassionately gathered, and reliable information. Facts will not eliminate ideological differences, but they can shave off the margins and go a long way towards trimming the worst excesses. For that, the burden will be on you. With that, congratulations. You've succeeded in this program under difficult circumstances, and I hope with not too much of the loss of the kind of contact that makes your Penn Law learning experience valuable and has always been an important characteristic of this institution. If I can ever help any of you in the future, please feel free to contact me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Hovenkamp, for that great speech. It is now my great privilege and honor to introduce you to the guest speaker for our December 2021 LLM class. As most of us, our guest speaker was born outside the United States, and as we can all relate, she completed her undergraduate degrees abroad. Born in Nigeria, the Honorable Wendy Biddlestone completed her bachelor degree at the University of Liverpool in England. A proud graduate from the University of Pennsylvania Law School, Judge Biddlestone has demonstrated throughout her professional career a great advocacy for equal access to justice. Among other things, Judge Biddlestone is a former president of the Philadelphia Bar Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing funding and other support to many legal aid organizations dedicated to the provision of pro bono legal services. Moreover, Judge Biddlestone has been a relentless supporter of the development of public education in the state of Pennsylvania. As a member of the State Board of Education, Judge Biddlestone promoted, among others, many policies in favor of special education for gifted children. Since the reception of her commission as a United States District Judge of the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, Judge Biddlestone has continued to be a distinguished public servant, as she has, among many other things, fought for the protection of women's rights, access to healthcare, and right to expression. Please join me in welcoming to the podium the Honorable Judge Wendy Biddlestone.
As I stand here, having learned a little about you from your bios, I'm inspired by who you are and the pathways that have brought each of you here today. When I read through your stories, I noticed how many times the words international or cross-border were mentioned. I took note of how many times I read the phrase, he or she speaks fluently, followed by multiple languages from every corner of the planet. I was impressed at how your perspectives encompass the world. Your backgrounds circle the globe. Your viewpoints, I have no doubt, reflect how interconnected we all are. And the astonishing thing is that before you came to the University of Pennsylvania Law School to work towards your LLM, you had already succeeded beyond the wildest dreams of most. So the question is, what do you do for your next act? Whatever you decide to do, your life, like mine, will be marked by the fact that you grew up in one context with one set of values and one mindset. But now, through your experiences in the United States, you have been exposed to something new. Having been steeped in different cultures, you will never fully belong to one. If you stay in America, others will make assumptions about who you are based on what you look like, what you sound like, simply because they did not grow up in the same environment as you. They may ascribe to you qualities that you do not have, or view you through the lens of negative stereotypes based upon what they think about your background. If you return to the country of your origin, people could perhaps be proud of what you have done, or may be suspicious of why you did it. You are forever, wherever you go, touched with foreignness. The fact is that you cannot control people's reactions, and people will make assumptions and ascribe motives to you that surprise you because you know they hold little to no truth. They may be fascinated by who they think you are, while having no idea who you actually are and what you bring to the table. They may not see the validity in your perspective because they do not understand where you are coming from. Now, that all sounds a bit bleak, but it is not. Far from it. In fact, it is the source of your superpower. The power that gives you insights that few others have, and that will take you into the next phase of your life, and into the next, and the next, and the next. The question for you is how to finesse the disconnect between who you know yourself to be and how others perceive you. It will be the work of a lifetime, calibrating your reactions to people who read you wrong, maintaining your center, being true to yourself, while incorporating the culture around you. You may ask, how can I say these things with such confidence? I don't know you personally, and I have no idea how you ended up here at Penn, but I do think we share a similar story. I was born in Ibadan, Nigeria, to an American mother and a British father. They'd met in a lab here at the University of Pennsylvania where they both worked. They were both looking for adventure, so when they heard that the British government was seeking people to ease the transition between colonialism and independence in various parts of the former British Empire, they put their names in the hat and their future in chance and were given the option of Hong Kong, Abu Dhabi, or the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. They tell me that they stood in front of a map, blindfolded, and selected where to go by a pin the tail on the donkey technique. Others made their way to the University of Ibadan along a wide variety of lines. Our friends and neighbors were from Nigeria, and from many other countries, refugees from racially oppressive South Africa, a former colonial police officer figuring out how best to pivot from one power structure to another, a Russian refusenik, Genuines who had been stymied by the post-Second World War politics in Italian academia, an English librarian who had married a Nigerian trade unionist, fell in love with the country, and stayed after she fell out of love with her husband. Across the way from us lived a family from Jamaica, up the hill my schoolmate and her family from Switzerland, and our immediate neighbors, an American couple and a Swedish family. So as you can see, the moment I was born, I was steeped in a racial and cultural smorgasbord. Our community was an odd one. Standards of social cohesiveness that may have applied in the various places from which we all came were irrelevant and did not apply. Conventions that may have separated people by class, wealth, race, or any other socially imposed heuristic device could not exist within the new, multicultural, multinational environment in which we all found ourselves, and in which the currency was intellect and mutual respect. That, of course, did not mean that we did not impose our own rules of social engagement. We did. The strongest social group we could find to hand was that of the tribe. Tribes stood together. Tribes helped each other out. Tribes made one out of many. That worked. And we, who came from many places and many different backgrounds, became a tribe. To make a very long story short, fast forward to me finding myself one day standing outside the United States Senate office in Washington, D.C. I had just left a magnificent conference room in a hearing of the Senate Judiciary Committee as part of the process of being confirmed as a federal judge in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. As I looked up at the Capitol Dome and across towards the National Mall, I was overwhelmed with the enormity of the job I was about to undertake, and interested that my life's journey had taken me from the little expatriate kid in an African university campus to the center of power in the most powerful country in the world. I felt that I needed to do something to take in the sense of the day. So I took a long walk past the Capitol, along the mall, up past the Washington Monument, past the reflecting pool, into the Lincoln Memorial, and then back up the mall on the other side of the reflecting pool. As I walked, I began to realize that America is great at public monuments. The Thomas Jefferson Memorial, the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial, the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, there was something about each of them that struck me as central to what it means to be an American. As I passed each of them, I read the quotes that were chiseled into stone. By way of example, Jefferson in 1776, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." Lincoln in 1863, 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Roosevelt in 1940, "We must scrupulously guard the civil rights and civil liberties of all our citizens, whatever their background. We must remember that any oppression, any injustice, any hatred is a wedge designed to attack our civilization." King, 1967, "If we are to have peace on earth, our loyalties must become ecumenical rather than sectional. Our loyalties must transcend our race, our tribe, our class, and our nation, and this means we must develop a world perspective." Having finished my journey, I was tired, my feet hurt. I still had on the appropriately high black pumps I wore to the hearing, but I was uplifted. As I thought of what I had read on the monuments, I realized that what these American leaders had said over a period of 2 centuries focused on the same themes that were not just American, but in fact reflected the principles that had guided our motley tribe in the University of Ibadan. To wit, each one of us is equal to one another. We must live our lives by this principle if our world is to be true to its promise. If others are being pushed around, we must stand up for their rights, because to do so is to stand up for all of our rights. And only if we work together can we protect what is ours. I realized that those principles are the foundations of my story, and I have lived my life according to them. The question for you, as you graduate from this august institution, is what underpins your story? What are the principles taken from what you have learned here and from all of the strands of your life thus far that will serve you as your guide rails into the future? I am confident from what I see before me that each of your stories will be magnificent. Congratulations. Thanks. Thank you.
Jean-Loup Lacaille. Daniel Fernandez Carrasco. David Ricardo Rajanov. Mason Alubaid. Pedro Ardizone. Amos Ben Ezra. Tan Bal La Pawat. Sergio Chang. Alvaro Chavez. Jorge Ricardo Cortez Hooch. Diana Daruwala. Luis Enrique Pajone Fernandez. Florencio Ademir Garmajo Lucas. Oleg Khakhlov. Armando Lacoutier. Julie Sui Lee. Neto Zaza Lai. Eddie Yen Ting Lin. Yuan Liu. Donna Marie Mardali. Nina Mendez. Lucia Minucci. Aida Mirza Biva. Veronica Pavlos. Dea Gita Promisty. Ana Carolina Ramirez Ajera. Xiao Shu Ra'an. Gelare Sharafi. Garima Srivastatva. Jessica Tabata Oliveira. Camilla Tagliabue. Vivian Terngay. Sander Vogt. Martin Wallner. E. Wang. Juying Xu. Wan Zhu. Ting Chong. Yu Hong Zhou. Let us now join together in congratulating the LLM class of 2021 December graduates. You want to
Welcome them on stage, right? Yeah.
Yes, what I just said. Please allow the speakers and graduates to exit and join us all
Yes.
in the
And
corridor.
congrats to the friends, colleagues, the Penn Law community around the world watching. I am so proud to present to you the December class of 2021. We will discuss upstairs. We can take masks and robes off outside. You can keep your robe on if you like, but please join us outside for a toast and further celebration with this, with you, this amazing group of December 21 graduates.